Hey my friends, this is Wolfgang with my healing circle and tools for ascension. And one of those many tools for ascension used by probably, I would say, all spiritual tradition in this world would be the mantra or mantram. That is, of course, a Hindu term, and it's kind of tough to define. I will try to do that, and I will actually widen the field of explanation. This is all about expansion of consciousness and expansion of your mind, and well, here we go. So, first of all, I used to do mantra meditation for 12 years, very strict, every day, anything from 2 to 4 hours. I would sometimes, go to sleep with the mantra in my heart and to wake up with that mantra still going on. When I was attacked during sleep by succubus or other beings that were feeding or trying to feed on my fear or my lust, I would catch it, do a mantram, and they couldn't touch me. I even fought with grace with the mantra, trying to scramble my mind. So I played around with mantras a lot, and the reason I'm making this video is because I'm very concerned that they're being used right and that you do not waste your time doing it somewhere in the wrong way. But also, as a word of caution, I personally do not practice mantra meditation anymore. And because I personally feel, I prefer nowadays to just run energy, to run vibration with intent, to run it into my heart, or to commune with divine beings, from heart to heart, or to use visualizations where I interface with, let's say, the energetic axis of this galaxy. So, but there are so many great traditions, with great masters, and who am I to say that I know better than them? So, it's kind of like food. There's Chinese food, there's French food, there's Italian food. They're all wonderful, and it is up to you to decide, what type of food you eat and what is the best for you at this time. So the same with your spiritual techniques, but I surely think that I have to contribute a lot to the understanding of mantras, and so here we go. Well, first of all, you probably have seen on YouTube, or I've seen in a physics class, where with a violent string, vibration was applied to a plate that was covered with sand, and sand, formed mandalas, or certain geometric patterns. And of course, there's also other experiment where speakers, applied to a plate with the same sand, and then also, on certain frequencies, different mandalas or different patterns appear, and then there is this other experiment where a goo is put onto a plate, and a vibration is applied to it, and it forms geometric shapes in a three-dimensional way. So this kind of shows that a sound vibration can affect matter. And that is one of the original definitions of a mantra in the Sanskrit term, that through a certain vibration, you affect matter, and that kind of plugs into the idea of sacred language, like Sanskrit, Chinese, as well as Hebrew. They all claim that they are sacred in a way that the word actually represents the vibration of the real thing. And of course that is for nowadays hard to believe, and according to the Vedic wisdom, they say that nowadays in the Kali Yuga there are no priests or brahmanas that really can practice that science. But in olden times, when the vibration of this planet was higher, and I would probably call that when planet Earth, was in a higher vibrational frequency, like probably fifth dimension, where shape-shifting was quite common, as explained in those scriptures. Those warriors, they would apply a mantra to an arrow and shoot the arrow, and through that mantra, through that sound vibration, they could affect the weather, that could affect minds, even up to the point of having an atomic explosion. There's a story where Arjuna is chasing down, oh God, who is this now? Ashvatthama, who is the villain, and it's a big showdown in the Mahabharata, and Arjuna is chasing Ashvatthama to go and kill him, and in his desperation, Ashvatthama picks up a blade of grass and invokes a mantra on it that is basically an atomic bomb. It's called the Brahmastra, from Brahmastra, and he hurls it towards Arjuna, but he does not know how to retract it. And the only defense against the Brahmastra is to counteract it with the Brahmastra. And so Arjuna, counteracts it with the Brahmastra, and there's this huge explosion that resonates through all the dimensions, and the scriptures describe that suddenly the whole sky is covered with vimanas. I mean, it's basically UFOs, and they also could call them Pushpatanjalis, flower airplanes. This is probably those beautiful astral colors, you see around some of those UFOs. Basically the demigods, basically higher dimensional extraterrestrials, seeing, trying to find out what the disturbances are, because it affects them too. Atomic explosions are very disruptive for the creation on all the dimensions. But anyhow, so they knew how to invoke an atomic bomb through a sound vibration. That was the science of the old times, maybe of the extraterrestrials that were visiting. And there's a lot more to tell about that, maybe some other time, but let's just stick about mantras. So, and if you look at the sound vibration effect of a mantra, there is definitely still an effect that we in the Kali Yuga, in the dumbed down age of low vibration, can take advantage of. And Let's take a simple mantra. It's called Om Namah Shivaya, and let's not even consider the meaning of that mantra. That's another aspect. But in general, when you chant this loud and resonating in your body, the Om will resonate in the lower part, in the belly part of your body. Though I have to also caution that the Tibetan monks, they vibrate their Om over here on the higher octave, but that's more advanced stuff. So, but in general, you want to vibrate, your Om at the lower part of your body, and that type of vibration will clear any stuck emotions, any stuck energy there, and has a purifying effect. And the Nama, the Na, Ma, this sounds, they vibrate in this part of the body, the heart area, the lung area. And then the Shivaya, the He, that will vibrate in the upper part, in the higher chakras, and it will clear those chakras. And if you do this kind of full blast, with the full song, first of all, you have to have really powerful, perfect breath, to chant that mantra. And just the breathing exercise is wonderful, and it has a very cleansing effect. And of course, you will address a very high, powerful type of consciousness, that of Shiva, and that also has a purifying effect. That is kind of the aspect of the name, of the meaning of the mantra. So the same thing, with Gregorian chants, for instance. And let's not take the meaning, let's just take the meaning out of it, but just the fact, that you maybe chant for an hour or two and have complete breathing and you're vibrating all over your body. Just that aspect, that impersonal aspect of a mantra, that it vibrates you and purifies you, still is very good and to be considered to be very, very powerful. Now, of course, we just talked about the impersonal aspect, but then there's also a personal aspect. Many mantras, or most mantras, have a meaning, like Om is kind of an addressing of the impersonal aspect of God, the all-pervading consciousness. You could also maybe say the laws of God, and it is like a sinus vibration, and it is very purifying, and that is then generally in combination with an entity like Shiva, Krishna, or other entities that are addressed, let's say in the Hindu pantheon, or of course in the Western world we don't have our own, we have, let's say, the Jesus prayer, where you connect with Jesus as your savior, or the other big mantra of the Christian world is the Rosary, where you address Mother Mary to help and to save you. And I have to say, before this whole thing went down in Yugoslavia, Mother Mary would appear in Medjugorje and to all kinds of people and tell them to please chant the Rosary, because this kind of devotion would give her strength, would give her basically ammunition to avert the evil that was about to happen. And well, probably there wasn't enough prayer given. We all kind of know what happened, in this area, big slaughtering, big mayhem. So all mantras have a meaning, and they are addressed to a person. And now we are getting to a very, very important point. That's maybe the main reason why I'm making this video, is when you're talking to a person, let's say to God, to Krishna, to Shiva, to Ram, to Jesus, whoever it is, there's a certain etiquette that you should follow. Let's say when you talk to the boss of the company that employs you, or you talk, let's say, to the President of the United States, what do? You smile. That is really important. If you don't smile at your boss, you probably will not be working long at that company. And what is your boss, or even the President of the United States, compared to God or some of those other big representations and aspects of the great God. And so I really, really recommend to you to smile when you do your mantras, when you do your prayers, when you do your invocations. Otherwise you're just like an annoying child, like daddy, 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 come listen, come listen, come listen. I want you to do something. I want you to do something. That's extremely annoying, and that's kind of the attitude that you have, when you do a mindless repetition kind of a prayer. I think in the Bible it even says, that mindless prayer or mindless repetition is to be avoided, and I'm completely for that. No, I mean, if you talk to like a great being, you gotta smile. That's an expression of love. You have to imagine that being is in front of you, and then you smile and you have a loving relationship. Smiling always means I'm coming in a loving way, non-threatening way, and that is definitely the way we should approach that. And I've tried all kinds of ways to do mantras. I've tried to do them very fast and very concise, and yeah, my mind became very sharp and very focused, and it's just wonderful for the mind, but it's gray, there is no love, there is no emotion to it. And I would say the best results are just really when you smile, when you smile, while you're doing your prayer, while you're doing your mantras. That is so important. Otherwise I would say it is in a way offensive, towards that entity that you are addressing. Well, there are some other things to be considered with a mantra, and this is just about the mechanics of a mantra. There are a lot of traditions that use prayer beads. The Muslims use it, the Hindus use it, the Christians use it. The Christians, they use the rosary, and the Hindus and Muslims, they use like a prayer thing. And the Hindus, they have 108 beads, and they do a mantra on each of the beads, and then there is this kind of main bead, and when they get to that, they turn around and then go over it again, and this way you kind of keep count on how many rounds you do. And generally, the number is kind of measured by sacred geometry. 108, or a division of that, seems to be very popular. And that's one way, just by the tactile rotation of those beads. Um, with your fingers, it prevents your mind from spacing out. It keeps you more focused. You also probably put a kind of an energy, a thought form onto those beads, and these are Rudraksha beads. These are from a certain seed, but there's also gems. There are Tulsi beads, from divine plants. There are gems, there could be metal, there are all kinds of carriers. And those beads, they should be kept purified. I would use the divine symbol. They should be kept in a clean place, just like you would do your holy books like the Bible or Quran or the Bhagavad Gita. You keep them in a nice, special, high vibrational place. And in general, for the neophytes, it is advised to say the mantra aloud. So, again, to not have you spaced out. The disadvantage of that is, of course, you cannot do that everywhere. People will look crazy of you, and you probably will not keep your job very long if you do this at your company. And then you can, if you get more advanced, you can just mutter it or just do it in your heart, which is the most advanced way. And then, of course, doing it in your sleep, basically doing permanently. Now, one of the wonderful effects of a mantra is that it occupies your mundane mind. And let me just explain that to you. Let's say when you go down the street, or when, a normal human being goes down the street, there's always this inner commentary in the mind. Let's say, oh, this is a nice car, this is probably very expensive, oh, this is very dirty, oh, this person is very fat, oh, this person is very beautiful, oh, this weather is nice, oh, well, I like the aesthetics, well, this looks crummy. There's always this judgment, there's always, this monkey of the mind, that says, oh, this reminds me of this, oh, this reminds me of that. And the disadvantage of the mind shattering away of this like that is that the mind is very habitual. You're probably, running like 5,000 different thoughts, average, in your life, and, that is the world that you experience, through this inner commentary. And you never see the world beyond the inner commentary. You always will perceive the world through the same pattern. And many people have to take drugs, and then suddenly they see the world in a new way, in maybe a sacred way, in a holy way, or just in a new way. Oh, I never thought about that. Oh, yeah. If you don't have things in a box, and the inner commentary puts things into a box, and the mantra, having the mind focused on the mantra, stops this inner dialogue. It's a very nice way of stopping the inner dialogue, and then maybe, you will start seeing the world in a new way. Of course, this is not the only way, to stop the inner dialogue. I personally find other methods also very, very effective. I said I do not do mantra meditation anymore. One way is, you take your eyes out of focus, and then your mind gets flooded, with so much information that it has to process, because normally, when your eyes are on focus, you focus on this little 10% spot that is in focus in your retina, and that is very analytical. But once you take your eyes out of focus, you see a whole visual field of 180 degrees, this bubble of 180 degrees, and that's kind of flooding the mind, the analytical mind. and it will stop having this inner commentary, if you kind of help it a little bit, and you might actually see auras around people and around things on top of it. Another way is basically opening your crown chakra, or just putting your tongue to the palate, which will run more chi into, the brain stem and the pineal gland, and, basically, balance both brain halves and kind of open your crown chakra. So I find those methods, wonderful. If you can't take your eye out of focus, put your tongue up and see what happens. And of course, personally, I focus on pumping love from heaven and earth, into my heart and projecting it outside, and then I'm in heaven and don't have to do mantra meditation. Another way, to use a mantra, of course, is, affirmation, like I'm love, I'm connected with everything. Any affirmation that you want to do is basically a mantra, and it will have a good effect on you. Well, I jumped around a bit, and I hope I did not discredit any major tradition. I mean, there are definitely wonderful things that can be done with mantras, and I did not promote any individual mantras because that gets way too complicated, and I'm sure you will find lots of very individual information about mantras on YouTube. You just do a search and you will definitely find a good mantra for the tradition that you come from. If you're coming from a tradition, personally, I do not follow any traditions anymore. I just take them as cooking styles. I like Chinese food or Italian food, and I like to eat internationally. And that's it. And I hoped I helped you with the understanding. And again, if you remember only one thing about mantras is, do them with a smile. Always do them with a smile. If you run the chi or any vibration with a smile, it will turn into a love. If you communicate with any higher powerful being, and if you smile, you are at least polite, but then you're open to love. If you do not smile and you try to communicate with a being, I think that is offensive. And it doesn't matter how fast you make it or how long you make it, how many hours you do it, you should do it with a smile. But if you do it with really meaning and love, you do not have to do much. You will get the results probably quite fast. So this is it for today. Love and light to you. Namaste. I'm available. If you have any problems, contact me. You will be amazed how I can help you. And to the extent of the knowledge that I have, sometimes you just have to ask a question and then the knowledge just comes through. I don't want to be puffed up, and I just try to be of service, and I don't try to limit the service that I can do. So follow me through my channel. There are links, when you press below the picture there is a show more, there will be links to my website, to my email address. And if you're rich and you like what I do, please give me a donation. You all have to live here, and your support is appreciated. I love you, and see you next time. Namaste.